Jon Snow did not lose his family when they died. He lost them when he learned how to belong somewhere else. The first damage came quietly. He stood in Winterfell's yard while the others laughed and trained and spoke their names aloud. His name was never spoken the same way. He ate at a different table. He was praised without being claimed. From that separation, he learned a narrow lesson. Staying required silence. He learned that wanting openly would cost him the little space he was given. The choice was placed before him without ceremony. Benjen Stark spoke of the wall as a place where names did not matter. Jon listened while the hall roared with farewell songs for others. No one asked him to stay. No one told him he would be missed. When he rode north, he carried relief instead of grief. He believed movement meant escape. What he learned was that leaving can feel like freedom when the loss has already happened. The wall did not receive him as promised. The brothers mocked his birth and tested his temper. His sword skill separated him again, this time by resentment. He struck harder than needed. He spoke sharper than intended. From this, he learned another survival rule. Distance can be enforced. Belonging could be taken by force if it was not offered. The first letter arrived with blood on it. Ned Stark was dead. The news spread through the yard, public and final. Jon turned away before anyone could watch him break. That night he chose to flee. He stole a horse and rode south with the old hunger burning again. The damage was immediate. By leaving, he confirmed that his place had never been secure. From this, he learned that loyalty felt strongest when it was already failing. His friends dragged him back before dawn. They spoke of vows not yet spoken, of paths not yet closed. Jon listened and turned around. When he returned to the wall, the gate shut behind him. The option to ride south remained only as memory. From that closure, he learned the shape of duty. It was not chosen in moments of clarity, but enforced by fatigue and shame. The vows were spoken in the dark. He said the words with his breath fogging the air. No one answered him by name. When the ceremony ended, nothing changed on his face, but something narrowed inside him. The Night's Watch became the only family he was permitted to lose. From that permission, he learned how sacrifice can feel like maturity. War reached him through rumor. Robb Stark was calling banners. Men spoke of battles while sharpening blades for different enemies. Jon listened and said nothing. Each retelling stripped another detail from his brother's face. The damage was cumulative. Every silence made his absence heavier. From that weight, he learned that restraint could masquerade as honor. Orders sent him north. The ranging crossed into lands where oaths did not reach. Cold pressed through armor. Men died without witnesses. When the wildlings were encountered, they did not ask his name either. They asked if he could endure. From their indifference, he learned a dangerous truth. Shared danger can replace shared history. Ygritte's arrow cut his certainty first. Her voice followed him longer than the wound. She laughed at the wall. She touched him without asking where he came from. With her, he spoke freely for the first time. The damage was subtle. He began to imagine a self not built on denial. From that imagining, he learned how easily belonging could reform. When he was ordered to kill, his hand failed him. He let her go and told himself it was mercy. The immediate cost was suspicion. Eyes followed him. Trust thinned. From that thinning, he learned that choosing connection inside rigid systems produces debt, not freedom. He climbed the wall as a traitor wearing black. Each step upward removed another excuse. When he turned back, he did so with violence. The arrow that struck Ygritte did not come from his bow. Her death arrived all the same. The loss collapsed the imagined life he had been rehearsing. From that collapse, he learned that delay does not prevent damage. It only ensures it arrives without consent. At Castle Black, command found him before peace did. The brothers elected him young and uncertain. Power settled on his shoulders like another fur cloak. With command came isolation sharpened into policy. Friends became subordinates. Conversations shortened. From this, he learned that leadership completes the separation begun by birth. The choice he kept avoiding returned in a harder form. Stannis offered legitimacy. A Stark name spoken aloud, publicly, permanently. Jon refused. The refusal was immediate. The loss was quiet but absolute. The last path back into his family closed without sound. From that closure, he learned too late what he had been preserving. Not duty, not honor, but a version of himself already shaped by absence. The cost of that refusal did not announce itself. It settled into routine. Jon issued orders. Men obeyed with their eyes lowered. The wall remained standing, and so did he. What disappeared was the last illusion that waiting preserved options. From that disappearance, he learned that delay is not neutrality. It is a choice that only reveals itself after it has passed. The wildlings came through the gates alive. Families crossed with what they could carry. Old enemies stood close enough to touch. Jon watched brothers grip their weapons instead of speaking. He forced the doors open anyway. The damage arrived immediately. Trust inside the watch fractured along familiar lines. From that fracture, he learned that mercy offered too late looks like betrayal to those already afraid. Whispers turned into looks. Looks turned into silence. Jon slept alone, even when surrounded by men sworn to him. The knives did not come during battle. They came during routine. Hands he had fed struck him without ceremony. The loss was not power. It was certainty. From the blood on the snow, he learned that leadership without shared loss breeds resentment that waits patiently. Death did not feel like release. It felt unfinished. There was no clarity in the dark. Only absence stretched thin. When breath returned, it did so without answers. The world resumed around him, unchanged and indifferent. From that return, he learned that survival does not restore what hesitation already destroyed. He left the watch without triumph. No words repaired what the vows had taken. The wall receded behind him, smaller than it had ever felt. Freedom did not arrive, only responsibility with fewer rules. From that stripping away, he learned that vows are easier to keep than choices made without structure. The North did not welcome him cleanly. Banners hesitated. Names were spoken cautiously. Sansa stood before him, older and sharper, shaped by different losses. Their reunion carried weight without relief. The damage sat between them, unspoken. From that tension, he learned that shared blood cannot undo separate survival. Battle followed with its usual demands. Men died because someone had to decide where they stood. Jon charged when patience was required. He survived when others did not. Each victory narrowed him further. From that narrowing, he learned that courage can function as avoidance when grief is unresolved. The crown found him without his consent. Voices rose. Titles were placed on him by hands that needed certainty more than truth. He accepted because refusal felt like another delay. The cost was immediate. Every decision now echoed beyond his control. From that echo, he learned that authority amplifies mistakes more faithfully than intentions. The truth of his birth surfaced without ceremony. Sam spoke the words plainly. Lyanna's name cut deeper than any blade. The revelation did not grant him identity. It dismantled the last one he had learned to inhabit. From that dismantling he learned that answers arriving late do not heal. They only clarify what was already lost. Daenerys looked at him differently after. Trust shifted into calculation. Affection tightened into distance. Jon said nothing when silence mattered most. He let the truth exist without defending it or shaping its consequences. The damage unfolded across rooms and councils. From that spread he learned that withheld reassurance can poison bonds faster than lies. Fire fell on King's Landing. Jon stood among soldiers who obeyed without thought. He killed men who had dropped their swords. The ground burned beneath his feet. Each step forward erased another version of the future he had avoided choosing. From that ruin he learned that restraint practiced too late becomes complicity. He went to Daenerys after. The room was quiet. Her certainty filled the space where doubt should have lived. Jon spoke of mercy when mercy no longer existed. He reached for her and ended her life instead. The loss was immediate and total. Love collapsed into necessity. From that act he learned the final shape of his delay. When choice is postponed long enough, it returns as violence. The realm exhaled and moved on. Jon did not. He was sent north again, this time without illusion. No vows framed it. The wall opened, and the wild followed. He walked into it without looking back. In the quiet beyond the trees, no one asked him who he was. No crown waited. No name carried weight. The damage was complete. Only movement remained. From that absence he learned what the choice had always been. Not between duty and desire, but between acting while meaning could still be shaped, or waiting until action could only destroy.